Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the monthly meeting of the Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals. And at this time, I would like to ask everyone who's able to stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I will now call the meeting to order. Please silence your cell phones. Thank you. For those who do not have a copy of the agenda or who are attending for the first time, we will concern ourselves with cases that are on consent. These are cases that have been reviewed by the board and by the professionals from various departments in the county, and to which there is no known opposition at this time. We've discussed these in our work session. Certain staff comments and stipulations have been made, and we do not anticipate any further discussion is needed. So as we go forward, Mr. Peterson, our County Zoning Division Manager, will read each case in, and at that time, if you do have an opposition to the case, please raise your hand so that we might signify you're present. So then we'll vote on all the cases. Still on consent at one time. Once we've approved the cases on consent, we'll move to our regular agenda. So now, Mr. Peterson, it's all yours.
Okay, and before we get going on consent, there is one case on today's agenda which has been withdrawn without prejudice, and this case will not be heard today. That's variance case V18, Ray and Raffy Holmes, LLC. This case has been withdrawn without prejudice and will not be heard today. Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals, variance hearing consent agenda for February 15th, 2023. First case on consent is variance case V8, Wellstar number 931. Request a variance to reduce the setback for a sign from required 52 feet from the center line of a major collector road right-of-way and 1 foot behind the public right-of-way to 31 feet in land lot 857 of the 19th district. The property is located on the southeast corner of Hospital West Drive and Mulkey Road. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval, subject to number 1, traffic comments, and number 2, fire comments. The applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V8? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V9, Wellstar, request a variance to reduce the setback for a sign from required 52 feet from the center line of a major collector road right-of-way and 1 foot behind the public right-of-way to 41 feet in land lot 212 of the 16th district. The property is located on the south side of Hawkins Store Road, east of Bills Ferry Road. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval, subject to number 1, traffic comments, and number 2, fire department comments. The applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V9? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V16, Rebecca Christian, request a variance to number 1. Reduce the side setback for an accessory structure under 144 square feet for an existing approximately 96 square foot 1-story frame shed from required 5 feet to 4 feet adjacent to the eastern property line. Number 2, allow accessory structures, which are 2 existing approximately 200 square foot carports to be located in front of the principal building. And 3, reduce the side setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for the existing approximately 200 square foot carport from required 10 feet to 1 foot adjacent to the eastern property line in land lot 238 of the 17th district. The property is located on the south side of Lucia Drive, south of Hurt Road. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval, subject to number 1. Approval is for the current title holder only. If the property owner sells or rents the property to someone else, or the carport becomes damaged or in disrepair, then the carports must be removed. Number 2, stormwater management comments. And number 3, development inspections comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V16? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V17, Olympic Atlanta Pool and Spa Incorporated, request a variance to allow an accessory use, which is a proposed pool and spa, to be to the side of the principal building and land lot 226 of the 20th District. The property is located at the southern terminus of Forkwood Drive, south of Grandwood Circle. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval, subject to number 1, development inspections comments, number 2, stormwater management comments, and number 3, fire comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V17? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V19, Zachary Crone requests a variance to allow a second electrical meter on a residential property in land lots 22 and 332 of the 19th and 20th districts. The property is located on the east side of Mountain Shadow Way, west of West Sandtown Road. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval, subject to no residential dwelling use or commercial use of the accessory building. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case of V19? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V20, James O. Nally requests a variance to reduce the rear setback from required 40 feet to 20 feet in land lots 903 and 958 of the 17th district. The property is located on the south side of Baker's Meadow, south of Baker's Meadow Lane. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V20? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V21, Beverly Reed and David Reed request a variance to reduce the rear setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for a proposed 630 square foot covered seating area from required 40 feet to 14 feet in land lot 266 of the 20th district. The property is located on the east side of Eagles Creek Way, north of Eagles Creek Drive. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval, subject to fire department comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V21? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V22, DD's Discounts request a variance to increase the maximum sign area for a wall sign for a building over 2 stories or over 20 feet in height from a maximum of 200 square feet to a proposed amount of 602.74 square feet in land lot 36 of the 17th district. The property is located on the south side of Veterans Memorial Highway and on the west side of Mapleton Parkway. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval. The applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V22? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V23, Ross Dress for Less requests a variance to increase the maximum sign area for wall sign for a building over 2 stories or 20 feet in height from a maximum of 200 square feet to a proposed amount of 516.5 square feet in land lot 36 of the 17th district. Property is located on the south side of Veterans Memorial Highway and on the west side of Mapleton Parkway. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V23? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V24, Burlington requests a variance to increase the maximum sign area for a wall sign for a building over 2 stories or 20 feet in height from a maximum of 200 square feet to a proposed amount of 313.81 square feet in land lot 36 of the 17th district. The property is located on the south side of Veterans Memorial Highway and on the west side of Mapleton Parkway. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V24? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V25, Joseph Severin requests a variance to number 1, allow an accessory structure, which is a proposed approximately 720 square foot garage, to be located in front of the principal building. And number 2, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure over 650 square feet for a proposed approximately 720 square foot garage from required 100 feet to 10 feet adjacent to the front property line, 25 feet adjacent to the north property line, and 54 feet adjacent to the south property line in land lot 605 of the 17th district. The property is located on the west side of Gala Drive at the western terminus of Gala Street. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval, subject to no residential dwelling use or commercial use of the accessory building. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V25? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V26, Susan McGee requests a variance to reduce the rear setback from required 20 feet to 18 feet in land lot 395 of the 18th district. The property is located on the west side of Regal Hills Lane and on the east side of Acadia Lane, south of Queens River Drive. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V26? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V27, Mark Buckman requests a variance to number 1, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure over 650 square feet for a proposed approximately 960 square foot detached garage from required 100 feet to 56 feet adjacent to the south property line, 11 feet adjacent to the north property line, and 5 feet adjacent to the west property line. Oh, and number 2, allow a second electrical meter on a residential lot and land lot 281 of the 16th district. Property is located on the west side of Leicester Drive, south of Hicks Road. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval, subject to number 1, development inspections comments, and number 2, fire department comments. Is the applicant present? Yes, okay. The director show the applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V27? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V28, Jorge Benitez requests a variance to number 1, reduce the rear setback from required 30 feet to 15 feet. And number 2, reduce the side setback from required 10 feet to 9 feet adjacent to the north property line, which is existing, in land lot 484 of the 18th district. The property is located on the east side of Ivy Point Row, north of Oak Ridge Road. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval, subject to number 1, stormwater management comments, and number 2, fire department comments. Is the applicant present? Yes. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V28? No. No. Okay. Let the record show there's no one opposed. And that completes the consent agenda, Madam Chair and Board.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. So it's back to us. Are there any comments, questions, concerns about any of these cases? I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the consent cases as it stands with all stipulations and conditions.
I second it.
Please place your vote. It passes 4-0. Thank you very much. Mr. Peterson?
Okay.
The next case, thank you.
All those folks that were on consent, you're free to leave. Okay, next case, moving into the continued held case agenda. Variance case V4, Diana Bickers requests a variance to number 1, reduce the side setback for an accessory structure over 1,000 square feet for a proposed 1,584 square foot pole barn for required 100 feet to 21 feet adjacent to the eastern property line. Number 2, allow an accessory structure, which is a proposed 1,584 square foot pole barn to be located in front of the principal building in land lot 36 of the 20th district. The property is located on the north side of Autry Church Road, east of Cobb Parkway. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V4? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Would the applicant please come forward and be sworn in?
Afternoon.
Afternoon. Give us your name and,
I'm Barry Bickers.
okay, explain what you're requesting.
Excuse me.
Explain what you're requesting and why.
A variance based on where we need to put an accessory building, which being a pole barn, in relation to the size of the property and where the property's shaped. It's best suited there. I talked to my neighbors before we ever started. I didn't realize, and I apologize, that we didn't get a permit to begin with, and didn't realize we had to have one. So That's why we need the variance, so we can build the pole barn, complete it.
Okay. Anything else?
No?
Okay, all right. We'll close the public hearing. Do you have any questions, Mr. Pallone?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mr. Bickers, my understanding in talking to you is there's been, the county doesn't want you working on the pole barn until you get this variance, is that correct?
Well, we couldn't get a permit until we got this variance, and
Okay.
that's what we were waiting on.
Okay, and your adjoining neighbors have all consented to the pole barn, right? So-
Yes, sir, complete.
And the little hiccup we ran into here is during the course of this, we found out basically that when you acquired the property, you came with basically 2 houses already on it, is that correct?
Yes, sir, when we purchased the property.
Okay, and the county staff advised you to get a lot split plan together, to engage a surveyor or somebody to do a lot split plan for you, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you know about how much longer that's going to take to,
The last report from the surveying company was 2 to 4 weeks from, what, Tuesday or Wednesday of last week? I'm not certain, but 2 to 4 weeks, what they said.
okay. All right, thank you. You can have a, unless anybody else has any questions up here, you can have a seat.
Okay, thank y'all.
All right, so, Mr. Peterson, the situation here, he's got a exposed barn he wants to get back to work on. Is it possible for us to then go ahead and grant this subject to, within the, say, the next 180 days, him filing a lot split plan?
Yes.
I mean, I want to be generous with the time. I don't want, the point is just to get it done, not to have the situation continue. Okay, and then I guess one problem, the second level problem I see is if and to the extent that lot split plan itself created any need for any variances, we wouldn't have addressed that. Is there a way to address it perhaps if they're internal as between the existing or dominant parcel and the split out parcel, if that's the only?
There's no way for us to address it until we actually see the proposed dimensions of the lots.
Okay.
So if it turns out he has to come back, then he can always come back and ask for variances.
Need to come back and ask for another variance. So that's why I'm making it 180 days to make sure if there's an issue there, just file another, come on back, okay? All right, if anybody else has any questions of staff? All right, so my motion is that we go ahead and approve V4 and grant this variance, allow him to get going on his pole barn, and subject to the condition that within 180 days from today, that the applicant for variance file with the county clerk a lot split plan in order to resolve the problem of there being 2 unattached houses on this property.
I second.
Is that sufficient before we vote? Do I need anything else? Thank you.
Passed 4-0. Thank you. Now we have, do you have anything else for us, Mr. Peterson, or we just go about our normal finalists? All right, you have in front of you the minutes both from last month's hearing as well as our work session on the 13th. Has everyone had time to review? Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes dated January 11, 2023, as well as the special call meeting dated February 13th, 2023.
Do I have a second?
I second that.
Okay. All approved? Vote. Okay. Minutes are approved, 4-0. Is there anything else for the good of the order? Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn this meeting today.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor, vote. Passes. 4-0. Thank you very much. See you next month.